What's up, everyone? Welcome back in the loop. Little play on our podcast name there. The only podcast going to our knowledge with three brothers chopping up the world of sports. Yours truly, Alex Lupica, joined by older brother Chris, younger brother Zach. Boys, it's been a pathetic little sabbatical on our parts.
We did have the Lost episode, though, last week.
Yeah, the Lost episode, never to be found again.
We may put it up one time, like, when we have a week off moving forward.
It was our best one yet, too. I mean, no way to prove it, obviously.
It was really, really good.
That episode does not exist, so...
The Lost episode, coming soon.
We got nothing to be proud of here, boys.
Nothing. I'm also 20 minutes late.
We've been making the fans wait for us, and now we're going to be here every week.
They're sitting in their cubes, waiting for In the Loop. Manually press the space bar, and we lose the entire episode.
My phone's been blown up for a month straight. Where is this thing? And now we're back.
In the Loop? Where's In the Loop?
Yep.
We're back on the airwaves. So the only positive thing to come out of that is the fact that we have some stuff to talk about. So Chris sent me a picture of his illegible rundown last night.
Had to do the rundown by hand because I didn't have a computer.
Your handwriting is really not
It's
improved.
not great, man. What do you want? I usually use a computer for word processing.
So let's see what happens here. I don't know.
Let's move on.
So we'll begin with Paul George, who's no longer with us.
He's alive.
Just kidding. For those of you who didn't hear the news, he's fine.
Yeah, Paul George.
Well,
kind of. He's not fine, but he's still with us.
So we all saw the injury over the weekend. USA blue-white game, just up there with the all-time worst injuries. C-Loop.
Well, Zach sent us a picture of it. Like, it was a Friday night, so I was busy. But Zach sent us a picture of it.
What were you doing? What were you up to?
I was hanging out in my apartment solo pregame. But
so busy.
Yeah, so really
super
Feels like you could have been watching.
No,
Yeah.
so I actually, honestly, didn't know that it was going to be on. And then Zach just texts the group that we have, and it just says, Paul George is done. That's it. That's all it said. And Alex and I were like, what? Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Because neither of us had seen it. Then he attached the photograph of Paul's, I don't know which leg it is, but it's at a full 90 degree
And you
angle.
tweeted it.
And then you tweeted it.
I felt, it was Friday night, so like nobody.
It was like Friday at like 9.
Nobody really knew,
Yeah.
I felt like, and I wanted to get the word out there.
You
Look
wanted
what
to
happened.
alert
This
the
is
public.
nuts.
Yeah, it was really bad.
I was just sitting there watching.
It was
the
kind
game.
of like the opposite of Kevin Ware, if you think about it, because everyone was watching the Duke-Louisville game. It was like the last Elite Eight game on a Sunday.
Right.
This was like Friday night scrimmage in Vegas.
Right.
So it was totally different.
It only took one Twitter search to find out that this one was going to be bad. You know, you search it, and then every video link comes with a warning.
Well, no, kidding aside, like, if you didn't know what had happened to him, like, with the exact injury, you may have thought he died.
I know.
Because my Twitter feed was just like, prayers for Paul George. Like, what a good kid. Like, prayers to Paul, prayers to Paul.
And I remember talking about this after Kevin Ware. The general emotion is just like death, pretty much.
Well, that's what it seemed
Great,
like.
he was a great kid, but people start to talk about him in the past tense. Kevin Ware was back playing basketball in 8 months.
Yeah, but then he did re-injure, and now he's transferring. Like, I don't know how.
But I heard him talking about transferring because he was the guy at Louisville who broke his leg, and he said that he couldn't deal with that anymore. That, like, everybody saw him was like, oh, you're Kevin Ware, you're the guy whose bone was coming out of his leg. And
I think that it's going to be tough for him to avoid that stigma kind of wherever he is.
I know.
But I did think he kind of did re-injure it at the beginning of the season. But, I mean, anyway, yeah, it is. Supposedly, it can actually heal even faster than, like, a bad ligament tear injury.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, people do say it's better than
tearing an ACL.
Blow out your knee completely.
I think the worst one in hoops was Sean Livingston.
Yeah.
Because he really didn't come back. It was a really good player.
I was thinking about some other ones, too. Willis McGahee.
Yeah.
Horrible one. Marcus Lattimore.
McGahee, though, great career. Comes back fine.
Yeah, modern medicine, man.
Yeah,
James
but what I'm
Andrews.
saying is Livingston, he didn't come back. Like, I mean, he's a serviceable player now, but he was like a budding all-star. And then that injury happened to him, and it took him like 6 years.
And the picture of the X-ray, almost worse than the video itself.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't see that one.
Oh.
I don't try to find
I mean, you
this
can
stuff.
pretty much
total
imagine
detachment.
what it looks like.
I mean, it's a broken leg. It doesn't take a doctor.
I have an idea of what it looks like, given the fact that I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, the questions it brings front and center are those about international play. And the guys who always elect not to play in these international competitions always catch flack for doing it and here's a pretty graphic explanation as to why they don't. You know, these guys, this is a good defense for them. Guys like Kevin Love and Blake Griffin and LeBron and Melo who choose not to play in this thing. I mean...
Yeah, well, the narrative on Kevin Love kind of went from like, oh, why isn't he playing? He should be playing to, okay, well, it kind of makes sense now. Like,
yeah, this is why.
He's got
you
a
see that
contract
replay,
coming
and he
up.
points it. He says this is exactly why.
Right.
I mean, he's going to miss a whole year.
Right.
You know? And Cuban comes out and speaks out against the IOC and international play in general. These guys are just trying to protect their assets. This is a 5-year, $90 million for Paul George, and you're missing.
That's why
I
almost feel worse for the front office people, because at least the players, it's their decision. You know, like they want to be out there. The owners on those teams definitely don't want their guys to be out there. There's no reward in it for them.
Yeah, I guarantee you Larry Bird was watching and just put his head down. You know,
There goes our season.
Well, without a doubt, there goes our season. At the same time, however, I do feel like since 2004, when we had the team that won the bronze medal, Olympic basketball has become important to the NBA players due to kind of what Coach Krzyzewski and Jerry Colangelo have built here. And you look at that, who was on the court that night. I mean, we're talking about probably 20 of the best 25 players that we have in the NBA. I don't really feel like it's going to change. I think that the players enjoy being a part of this, and I highly doubt that moving forward players aren't going to want to be a part of this.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to affect anything. I just think it helps the guys who would like not to make a case for why.
Look, maybe now the owners have an opportunity. If they I don't know how you collectively bargain this, but they may take steps to try to have more say in what their players can and cannot do in the offseason. I could understand that, but I don't think players are going to individually make decisions not to be involved.
Also, these guys are playing no matter what, and they're going hard somewhere, and they're practicing.
This injury has only happened twice.
I mean, it was a freak occurrence.
In like so many years of basketball, how many times have we heard about this happening? Twice, right?
Yeah, it's a freak injury.
And it could happen playing pickup.
Everybody that I heard talk about it says that they've seen Harden and George do the same drill, literally the same drill, where George chases him down on a fast break, and his foot just got caught underneath the hoop, and that could happen anywhere.
Unfortunately, now though, the way that things are is there has to be something to blame, and people are blaming the way that like the hoop was situated on the baseline.
I've seen some of the hoop stuff.
Yeah, it's always.
It's an inch closer to the baseline, I think, than an NBA court.
But I saw Colangelo yesterday on PTI, and he was like, yeah, that's true, but we played an all-star game here. UNLV plays every game here. It's not like dudes are just dropping like flies on that court, and they didn't move it.
Yeah, sucks for Paul George. Terrible for the Pacers. Also, bigger picture NBA, just one less team in the East to stand in LeBron's way.
Well, yeah, Chris and I were talking about how it's happened twice now. The East has always been weak, and now for the second time with Rose going down with the knee injury.
Rose out for 2 years.
His best competition in the East has lost their star player and any chance they have at competing.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, and then thinking about it from all these other teams' perspective, remember we had the conversation about like who has a chance now in the East with LeBron moving away from the Heat? If you're the Wizards right now, you're like, yeah, we're like the third or fourth best team.
We are right there.
If you're the Hornets, you're like, yeah, we got a shot at this thing. I mean, with Paul George out, these teams might have – the Wizards could easily have like 2 home court series in the playoffs.
I was thinking about the Heat too.
Yeah.
Now the Heat could be the 3 seed, maybe.
Yeah, I think without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's going to be so weak in the East next year.
The Hornets, yeah, we sneak in there, a couple bounces of the ball, boom, we're in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Boom, we win the championship.
But I do think it's worth noting, if you watch that game, that D-Rose looked like the D-Rose of old.
Oh, I think there's no question that if we weren't talking about Paul George right now, and we were still trying to have a basketball conversation, we'd be talking about Rose and how good he looks.
He looked he looked explosive. He was cutting. He looked like the D-Rose
I
of
love
old.
Derrick Rose.
too.
I hope he comes back.
The only thing that would bring him down is another injury. Like, he's back, I think.
Right, and the way things are going for LeBron, it'll probably happen like the first week of the season. He'll probably go down.
Yeah, the charmed Eastern Conference.
Oh, wait, let's talk about this, though. Do you guys like watching the freak injuries? Like, there are some people who are like, oh, dude, you got to see this. And I'm like, I don't want to see it.
That's me.
Yeah, that's Zach.
Zach tweets it out.
I wanted to see it.
Did it occur to you pretty quickly the public opinion about this thing was such that, hey, this is pretty graphic? You know, let's not go tweeting this out.
I mean, if you were on Twitter, every person wanted to see it. Like, that was everybody did.
See, I'm different.
SportsCenter showed it. Like,
you just gave the people what they want.
Yeah, oh yeah. People, like, if you read all that stuff and it's hard to put into context how bad an injury is unless you see it.
So you don't like it?
No, I'm not into it, but I'll watch every time.
See, like, my old roommate Pat used to sit there and like YouTube top 10 freak sports injuries, and I'd be like, "What is fun about this?"
No, I'm not seeking it out, but I do have to see it. If everyone's talking about it, you got to watch it.
See, I
once.
haven't seen the video yet because it's just like
You
freaks
haven't?
me out. Yeah, I look away. It grosses me out. It grosses me out, these injuries.
Yeah, it's kind of like when someone tells you to smell something bad.
Yeah.
You know, why would you want to do that?
Hey,
But you
try
kinda
this.
have
It's
to.
awful.
Yeah. So, all right. Paul George wrapped up.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
Sorry, Paul.
Next up, Zach, you've been waiting for this. Little baseball chatter.
Sure. Yeah, let's
Get in the
into it.
chatterbox.
If ever a time to do it.
Exactly.
Yes, so.
If last week's trade deadline isn't going to get us talking about America's pastime, nothing will.
Yeah.
So, the big takeaway here, Chris, I know you're a Billy Bean guy. He's all in.
Yeah, that's cool. It's got to be really exciting for A's fans and anyone who's rooted for them, because now I think the one problem that they've had the last few years in the playoffs is that they don't have a guy. I mean, I remember we watched Game 5 last year together. They played the Tigers, and it's like, okay, they have Verlander, we have Sonny Gray. And
Yes.
Sonny Gray's good, but he's very young, and then you're just overmatched in a must-win game, and you need guys like that Smarja and Lester in the playoffs if you want to win. I think that's the reality.
Zach, they're so well built for the regular season. Their run differential is plus 1,000 or whatever it is. One knock on them, like Chris said, over the past couple of years is the lack of that shutdown number one type arm. And now they have two of those guys.
When it came out that they traded for John Lester, that was probably around like noon, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, they can win the World Series now. But I was surprised that they traded their cleanup hitter, because that doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
If you're going all in, it's a surprise to, take your cleanup batter out of the lineup. But then when it came around 4 o'clock and the Tigers traded for David Price, I felt like that had to be a pretty hard blow for the A's, because I like the Tigers now more than the A's.
Yeah, Tigers are probably still the favorite to come out of the AL.
But we were talking about it, Zach and I were talking about this last night. Like, if it is the ALCS, the pitching matchups in those games would be spectacular.
Yeah.
You'd be talking about like 8 of the best, however many pitchers in the league going up against each other every single night. It would be fantastic.
And how about a little subplot, Zach? Johnny Gomes just headed to another winner.
Yeah, I love Johnny Gomes.
He fits right
He's
in
great.
Oakland,
He's
too.
great. He's a guy you want on your team. He's clutch. He does it all.
He always winds
People
up
in
on good
Boston
teams.
loved him.
Yeah.
Adored him.
And then you got the Cardinals out there in the NL lurking. Pick up Masterson, pick up Lackey. They're going to be right there, too. Probably my pick to come out of the NL.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I thought they needed a hitter with Yachty going down. I was surprised they got pitching. I thought they needed hitting more. I still like the Dodgers in the NL. I think that their lineup's really tough, and I think Kershaw's finally going to put it together in the playoffs.
Who's coming out of the AL?
Tigers.
Tigers, Dodgers?
Yeah.
I'm pretty good for MLB. What about you?
A's, Cardinals.
A's, Cardinals?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Billy Bean, that's edited. My stuff doesn't work in the playoffs. Maybe this year it will.
Yeah,
It'll be
taking
awesome.
a different approach. It's definitely exciting.
I also thought an interesting thing, Chris, that you brought up was when you were talking about how the trade deadline thing only happens in baseball.
Right. You see teams selling more in baseball. But at the same time, I don't think that this is a small market, big market debate, because the Red Sox were sellers,
Right.
the A's were buyers, and the Rays probably recognized that they could get the most value out of David Price at this time, and they're not going to be able to re-sign him in a year and a half. But can you envision a scenario in hoops where the Thunder had to decide, well, we're not getting Durant back in 2016, let's just move him for Tristan Thompson and a few draft picks and move on?
Yeah, just huge name stars switching uniforms.
Right. It's not
mid-season.
quite as significant because baseball is so much more of a team game.
But it's still cool.
Yeah, it's great.
And
Also,
no salary cap. You know I'm not a salary cap guy. Capitalist. And there's more competitive balance in baseball than ever before. I just think baseball is working really well right now.
But
I agree.
I do think that the market did play a pretty big, had a big role in this, because the A's traded Cespedes because they weren't going to be able to sign him at the end of next year.
They basically traded a player they weren't going to be able to sign at the end of next year for a guy that they're not going to be able to sign at the end of this year.
And the Red Sox were sellers, yes, but they weren't ordinarily selling. They were souping up their team for 2015 to be able to be
Just
good.
souping it right
They
up.
were trying to be
Yeah.
good and win next year, which isn't exactly the normal seller, small market move.
I think if you're a Red Sox fan, you're thrilled at what you got out of John Lester.
Oh yeah. And what about the idea that they have a chance of getting Lester back after this offseason?
Yeah, it'd just be awesome. And Yoenis is going to pepper that monster. I think just a good trade. Good baseball trade.
Yeah.
Is that all we can get out of you for baseball, Chris?
Yeah, that's all I have.
That's all you got. Let's just keep moving right along.
Speaking of contracts, holy Andy Dalton.
Red
Wow.
Rocket.
Were you doing an Alex impression there?
Yeah,
nice.
that was a little Alex transition. I took over your role there.
Very good. What do you think?
Well, first of all, with these NFL contracts, it's really important to read between the lines
Yes.
because at
Thank
first
you.
it's like Andy Dalton signs $117 million, and you're like, what? And then it's like, I don't know exactly what the numbers are.
95.
It's like $17 million guaranteed. So essentially, it's like it's a lower risk deal for the team. This isn't the Kaepernick deal, for example.
You got to take a close look. It's like when NBC Sports told Zach, hey, we're going to pay you $200K.
Yeah,
Not all guaranteed.
not all guaranteed.
A lot of incentives.
Only like $35
a lot
is
of
guaranteed.
performance incentives.
Yeah, performance.
When you do take a closer look, it's not that absurd.
But I still can't understand why. It's like, okay, yeah, he was going into a contract year. Why not make Dalton play for his contract next year?
Yeah, I think that's, the Bengals front office would say that this contract
Aren't
is built to kind of
appease him.
No, it's built in a way that is incentive based. So he's kind of playing for his
But
money.
he's still
most
getting a
of the time.
ton of money as long as he's actually playing.
As long as he plays. What I'm saying
He's
is
still getting $95 million at the end of the day if he plays.
it seems like what they're saying to him is like, no pressure this year, Andy. We're locking you up for a huge deal. Instead, why not make him do what Flacco did and play for your contract? It seems like they're treating him with kid gloves, if you ask me.
In the NFL, I just feel like people are so scared to lose their quarterback. And now it just seems like they're rewarding players for mediocrity at this point.
I agree with that 100%.
If you
Like, you're afraid to lose Andy Dalton?
there's any quarterback
Yes.
that can get your team to the playoffs right now, get your team there. He's 0-3 in the playoffs.
And
Lost in
he's
the first round
not
every
just
time.
that, he's been awful.
He's thrown 1 touchdown and 6 picks in his 3 playoff games. And they're pretty much saying, if you can take our team to the playoffs, we're going to give you a huge deal because we're too scared to see what else is out there.
Being an NFL QB is a very good gig right now.
It's a great gig if you can actually remotely do the job. And this guy has tons of weapons, by the way. They drafted Giovanni Bernard first round, AJ Green on the outside. They get Tyler Eifert as a first round pick. So
They got a great defense.
and so it's like, yes, he got you to the playoffs, but I think they built a really good team around him. And I think there would be a scenario where he goes through next year, can't get it done, and then you just say, we're moving on. We're going to try to draft someone.
In his defense a little bit, he did throw 33 touchdowns last year.
He had a nice year.
He was 3rd in the NFL in touchdown passes.
He had a nice year. He had a better year than Andrew Luck. He had a better year than Matt
Did either of you
Stafford.
guys
He had a better year than Cam Newton.
Did either of you guys read the Bill Barnwell thing about him yesterday?
No. Enlighten us.
Well, it's hard with. I mean, Barnwell obviously he's unbelievable about football. But he did this whole thing. He did this statistical breakdown about how bad Dalton is when he has any pressure in his face.
Ooh.
And he's one of the. I think he was like 33rd in the league. He's one of the worst passers in the league when he has pressure in his face. And Cincinnati's overcompensated with this West Coast system. It was interesting in looking at what his value really is to the league.
The Bengals also have a very kind of laissez-faire approach. You still got Marvin Lewis at the helm, second most tenured coach in the NFL.
That makes it sound like they don't care.
It really doesn't seem like
just
they
like,
do,
whatever.
though.
We're going to get to the playoffs.
Field
We're
a
gonna
pretty
lose in
good
the wild card
squad.
round.
After that, who cares, really?
Lose to the Patriots or something.
Yeah, Dalton 30-18 as a starter, 0-3 in the postseason.
With really bad numbers. Now, granted, he could turn it around this year, and we're having a different conversation. Quite frankly, if Joe Flacco hadn't won the Super Bowl, we'd be talking about Joe Flacco the same way we talk about Andy Dalton, and he makes like $20 million a year.
I would still say the same things about them giving Joe Flacco all that money.
So would I.
Except Flacco happened to play his best, 4 games?
His best 4 games of his life. were
Yeah,
in the
11
playoffs.
touchdowns, no picks, something like that.
I could see, the Ravens probably could have, they couldn't really have done it, but they could have convinced you, you know what, Flacco, great job in the Super Bowl. We're not paying you $20 million a year.
You're just not very
You're
good.
not that good, Joe. Let's be honest.
I mean, also, they lost that game in the first round that year to the Broncos.
Yeah, the second
A lot
round,
of things went
Second
right
round.
for Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
The safety, if he just waits back there, knocks down that pass, Flacco probably doesn't get all that money. But I think this also does go to your point, Chris, that when I was looking at this contract, I was thinking, why don't the Bengals just use that money, make their team better, and then go after a quarterback in the draft or something like that.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Teams are terrified to do that, I think there's a lot of conservative team building that goes on in the NFL, and it mostly centers around quarterbacks and also sometimes around head coaches. Like, yeah, let's just bring in Norv Turner. He's been around. Like,
safe pick.
Safe pick with Norv. I mean, we'll get rid of him in 3 or 4 years. We'll bring him in.
And the Bengals kind of personify that whole
like Marvin's
idea.
Solid. It's like, is he though?
He's rock solid. Looks great over there.
A lot of Bengals talk today on In the Loop, huh?
Yeah, Ryan Patino.
Yeah, Ryan's going to be thrilled
Friend of the
with
podcast. This is all for you, baby.
All right, let's talk QBs.
QB controversies?
Yeah.
Which we talked about on the Lost Pod. But
right, yeah, we talked about QB controversies on the Lost Pod. But
allegedly.
we did more like Vikings, Jags.
Well, what do you want to
Raiders
talk? What are you looking? Manziel and Hoyer?
I think Manziel, Hoyer, Geno, and Vic are the only 2 to really talk about, right?
Yeah, those are good ones. I was watching SportsCenter before we came here. Jay Crawford, who I love. You know I love Jay, Chris.
Yeah, I love. Who doesn't?
Huge fan, and also a friend of the podcast. So he asked, I think it was, who was it? Holtzman. He asked Holtzman. He phrased the question like this. He was like, I don't think Browns fans care about who the starting QB is so long as they win, but who's in the lead out there? And Holtzman was just like, no, I got to stop you right there, Jay. Actually, they all want Manziel. So
True.
Just start him. Let's put this to rest.
I just feel like you know what you're going to get kind of with Hoyer, and just put Manziel out there, see what he can do. He could turn your whole franchise around. Hoyer's not going to turn your franchise around.
To me, there's this thing that they do in the NFL where you start your bad guy when you know your team's not going to be good, and then like week 6, you're like, hey, fans, we're going with Manziel. Get excited.
Yeah, it's just the NFL way.
We're 1-5, but like Manziel's going to start, so now you have a reason to be psyched.
Win 3 straight, inconsequential, but everyone's kind of fired up.
Right, and actually, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense, because if you know your team's going to have a bad record, why not just wait until like week 7? And then even if you're 1-6, you bring in Manziel, you get all the excitement, and there's zero pressure on him to like make the playoffs.
You intentionally lower the bar.
Yeah,
you can't do
like
it.
it.
You can't go into the season though and be like, yeah, well,
we're talking about the Browns.
We're planning on start. Last year, didn't they start like 3-0? Gorgeous Hoyer.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they did.
They
And
did.
the Hoyer to Jordan Cameron connection was steaming.
See, my thing here with that is that Manziel, I just don't think it helps him being on the bench, thinking to himself, I should be out there instead of Hoyer.
You don't think he's over there on the sideline wearing the backwards hat, thinking, man, it's great learning from Brian Hoyer.
No.
That guy's a professional.
I do not.
I'm going to be a better player for this.
Well, Zach's guy, Aaron Rodgers, you actually believe that it benefited him.
Yeah, well, I think that was different because Rodgers went into, the Packers and knew that he wasn't going to start, didn't know how long Favre was going to play for, but knew that this guy's one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. He got to sit there and watch him for years, learn, and I feel like he was sitting there, unlike Manziel would be, thinking, I'm here and I want to learn. I want to see what
can I
can
learn
do.
from a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, how can I get better? What can I
You're
do?
saying Hoyer's not a Hall of Famer.
And I think
Wait,
Here
so
and
Hoyer,
now, you're guaranteeing he
No,
doesn't
no,
make
no.
it to
Hoyer's
go.
not
No.
one of the greatest of
I
all
think
time?
it's 50-50.
Okay, because
And
you
I
got a
think,
guarantee here from Zach Lupica that Brian Hoyer will not be in the Hall of Fame. He's gonna really,
Anyway.
he's gonna really stick it to you in his speech in 2025.
You can always bring it back to the pack somehow, can't
he
you?
is not a friend of the
We're
podcast.
trying to chop up Manziel and the Browns.
Chris brought up the pack.
Did you?
Yeah, well, I wanted to tee it up.
Yeah,
for the
you
big
teed
guy.
me up.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah, and he just took it yard. So, and then the other one is Geno and Vic. I don't understand how you go with Vic here.
No, I think this is kind of the reverse situation in which Geno's going to go out there, probably not play so well, and the Jets are going to be on the fringe of making the playoffs and have to go with Vic. I
Well, they
don't like Geno.
They have Geno right now in the depth chart number 1, right?
I think so, yeah. And Vic today, he said something like he's going to be like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think he's trying to go company line, but he really knows, maybe he knows that he's not that good and he's going to steal his spot.
It was one of the worst seasons of quarterback play I've seen in some time.
But
Just full seasons of consistently poor play.
Are you saying from the Jets?
From
or-
Geno.
Yeah. No, he was not good last year.
See, if I'm the Jets, I'm thinking, okay, if I go with Geno and I get another terrible season, I can move on from Geno. But if I go with Vic and get a mediocre season and then we have to do this controversy again next year, Like, what are we doing?
And then we do go with Geno,
right,
and then that doesn't work out.
It's like eventually you use I think it was the first pick in the second round on this guy. Eventually you have to figure out what you have here.
Yeah, it's like we were talking about before. You got to know when to cut the leash. You've already said
because Vic's not a long-term solution at all.
No.
At best, he's a one-year solution for them. So figure out what you have with Geno, and if it doesn't work out, this is a really good draft for quarterbacks.
In best case with Vic, absolute best case, they get to the first round of the playoffs. They're a wild card team.
I
they
think
can't win that division.
Either way, no matter what, the Jets are going to be 8-7, playing for the playoffs in the last week of the year.
Yeah, going up
no matter
against
what,
the Dolphins,
no matter who plays.
week 17,
exactly.
like right after Christmas.
It's the same story every year. I think it's just going
to lose by like 1.
Yeah.
But this is a team that, let's be honest, has been really well built the last, with the exception of last year, with the exception of the quarterback. That's been their only. I mean, they've had great defenses. They've had guys they've had impact receivers. I guess they didn't last year, but
last year was kind of a grim.
Last year was tough, but I'm talking about the
squad.
3 years prior to that, and quarterback play has been kind of their.
And now they have Chris Johnson.
Yeah,
if one of those guys can be decent, the Jets are gonna, have a decent year. The AFC is weak. The AFC is very weak.
Either limping into the playoffs, barely losing first round, or not making it.
Either way, if you're having a quarterback battle, when was the last time there was a quarterback battle in August and then that team was winning the Super Bowl? It just doesn't happen.
It's true.
It just doesn't happen. I mean, barely even do you expect your team to make the playoffs so you're having a QB battle?
Yeah, that's why I feel like you always got to go with a younger guy if there really is that big of a dispute.
So you're saying Bridgewater over Matt Castle?
Oh, yeah. Throw Teddy Bridge
You're
in
saying
there.
Bortles over Henne?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the other national pastime. Golf.
Oh, yeah. Golf's getting interesting.
Tomorrow.
Valhalla.
PGA.
Louisville, Kentucky. America's dirty little secret.
And looking past that, your favorite event in sports, the Ryder Cup.
Literally my favorite event in sports.
It's your number one.
I love the Ryder Cup. And this has...
Any time when it's America going up against anybody else, I'm pretty much fully invested.
You
no
bleed red, white, and blue, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Zach went to Europe. The only kid who ever toured Europe with his buddies who were abroad and just had the worst time possible.
You missed the niceties.
Yeah, get me back to Connecticut.
You missed Xbox.
I mean, why would I go to Rome when I could hang out in Connecticut?
When I can eat bacon and cheese, play ping pong.
Mom yesterday was like, oh, we're going to Rome next summer. I was like, oh, no.
No, wait. Can we just go to, Norwalk?
Yeah. Stay home.
Yeah, or we just kind of hang out.
We all just vacation in the house.
He's got 2 beautiful TVs in his room here in Connecticut.
Dating back to when Zach was 8 years old, vacations kind of bothered you more than
haven't changed much, boys.
When we would go on vacations during March Madness, and you would just not see the outside of a hotel room.
Well, Mom one year was like, yeah, we're going to go to Hawaii for spring break, and I was like, no. The time changed.
What am I going to watch at 3 a.m.? Fired
up.
No
chance.
Zach didn't want to go to Hawaii because the time change would jam up his March Madness.
And we didn't go.
No, I know we didn't. But I remember.
Well, first, no. The deal was when you guys graduated that we were going to go without you, so don't worry about that.
Oh.
And then I looked it up, and they barely had a TV. And
I looked it up.
You actually shut it down.
He Googled Hilton Maui satellite schedule.
Go without me, please.
You shut it down, and Texas busted your racket in the 32 anyways.
Yep, yes they did.
I hope
that was
you're
tough.
happy.
USC, 4-5 game.
All right, seriously, can we talk Tiger a little bit?
Let me just start with this question.
Okay.
Gun to your head.
Yes.
Is he winning another major?
Yes. I believe he will win another major. I don't think he's breaking Jack's record.
No.
I think the odds are astronomically against him.
I would say no.
I think that
no, he doesn't win another major at all.
I don't think so.
Wow.
I've given
hurts
up.
Chris.
I'm sick of him.
Look, you know what? I love Tiger Woods. I've been a Tiger fan my entire life. I'm kind of sick of this with him.
I'm sick of him, dude.
The stuff that he does bothers me.
Oh, I hate it. The back grabbing.
And it's only when he's not playing. It's only when he's not in contention. When he's in contention, he's grinding through injury. When he's out of contention, he walks off the course at 11, after a bad drive.
At this point, I'm much more interested in the other younger Americans who are playing well and,
I would be...
And I think he's going to play. As of right now, he's doing a practice round this afternoon at Valhalla. I don't see why he wouldn't play this tournament unless they told him he could damage his back more long term.
Yeah, it looks like the early indications are that he's going to play.
But if he starts with this tomorrow morning with the wincing and the back stuff and I have to hear about it all weekend, it's going to drive me a little nuts.
That's why I think if you're him, you just play. Either you play well, like you said, and grind through the pain, or you grab your back on the 8th hole and you walk off.
I don't even think
win-win.
That's not
for
really
Tiger.
fair to the. It's what he's doing. I don't think is really necessarily fair to the fans.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
I know that. I know.
But he shouldn't have to care. He shouldn't have to care. He shouldn't be thinking about the fans when making this decision.
I understand, but other guys, I mean, Rory walked off the course last year and said he had the toothache when he wasn't playing well and he got destroyed. But Tiger walks off the course and it's like he's treated like some sort of war hero when he's got a back injury.
Yeah, but
and I understand it's a serious injury. I'm just saying.
He never grabs that back when he hits a good shot.
Never.
Have you ever seen that?
No, I know. Okay, one exception is when he played with the broken leg at the U.S. Open and he was clearly in pain. That's fine.
Yeah,
The
it wasn't
wincing.
that clear. You know, he kind of he sucked it up. Like, you know, he played through it. It's too much. I would be more ready to give up on Tiger if I liked Rory more.
Yeah, I'm coming. It's hard. I haven't really rooted for Rory, but it's hard.
You've rooted against him.
I've rooted. Yeah, exactly. I've flatly rooted against the guy.
Hard.
But he's playing so well.
He's
It's
so
hard not
good.
to appreciate how well he's playing, especially right now.
He's locked in.
And he's scary, I think, for the rest of the tour because it's kind of been this like year and a half where they've been waiting for him to put it together, and now it's all together.
He's dominating in every single statistic.
When he wins majors, he doesn't just win; he wins by 5, 6, 7 shots.
Yeah, he wins like Tiger won when he was that age.
Yeah, when he's kind of almost as big as a favorite now as Tiger used to be.
He's 5-1.
He's 5, which
this
is what
weekend.
which is what Tiger used to be.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's pretty significant odds. Are you guys as locked into the tournament if Tiger doesn't play?
Oh yeah, I don't
Or if
care
he's
about
out of it.
Tiger. I like the other guys.
Zach is coming out strong against
I like
Tiger.
Ricky Fowler. I like
It's still a more interesting tournament to me. if
Dustin
Tiger's
Johnson's
in
not
play.
playing, but
Of course, it's more interesting.
Yeah,
He's also won there before. It's just better to have him in the tournament. I'm still locked in if he doesn't play.
see, I just think if he plays, he's not even gonna make the cut.
I also don't
Get
like
outta here.
the thing that he does, and we're giving Tiger a tough time today, but I don't like the thing that he does when he's in interviews and he's got this look like, yeah, I've got it. I've got it figured out, and you guys don't get it.
Right.
And I'm just right there. It's like you haven't even placed in the top 50. You barely making cuts. So it's appropriate for us to ask you if you think you can start winning again.
Yes, and last year it was appropriate for him to sound that way.
Because
even
he won
though-
5 times.
Even though he wasn't winning majors, he was winning golf
Yeah,
tournaments. and
he's the
playing
number one
awesome.
player in the world. He was player of the year last year. But now
He hasn't.
it's okay
Yeah.
for people to question it. You know, it's not the end of the world. And he just looks at him like, yeah, man.
Let's give predictions. Kloop, who do you got this weekend?
Rory.
Smart.
I got Dustin Johnson. Ooh, too soon.
Wow, that was...
Sorry, Dustin. Friend of the podcast.
So bad
going
it was
through a tough
borderline
time.
good.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that was maybe your best line of the day. In a
Thank
way.
you.
Come on, give me a pick.
You know I love Jimmy Walker.
Ooh,
God.
sweet swinging Jimmy Walker.
You know I love sweet swinging Jimmy Walker.
What about Big Patty Reed?
I hate that guy. Talk about an enemy of the podcast. Patrick Reed, you're it.
We don't actually hate you, Patrick. It's fine.
No, I do.
All right, Zach, who do you
Sorry.
have?
I'm taking Fowler. He's dominated majors this year.
That would be really good.
He's played extremely well in majors. I just think that even when he is in the top 10, you never feel like he's going to win.
He's combined in majors this year. He's ahead by I think he's 11 under overall in majors, and he's ahead by 5 on Rory, who's next.
And I also think it'll be interesting to see whether or not Tiger gets selected. Because the other thing he knows is if he doesn't play this tournament, he's not going to qualify for FedEx Cup. So this is really the last time he gets to put himself on display for Watson as to why he should be selected for the Ryder Cup.
Same thing with Phil. I think Phil is 10th in USA point standings. You need to be top 9
At least Phil
to get
gets
an
to play
automatic
some
bid.
more tournaments, though. Tiger,
Yeah.
this is it.
This is it.
And what do you? I mean, if you're Tom Watson, I understand it's Tiger Woods. What have you seen that makes you think he can help the team?
Even from a fan's perspective, it's like, do I want him out there?
Yeah, I want the U.S. to win.
Right.
Period. I don't
No,
care
no.
if he plays or not.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
Let me look at some possible captain's picks that we just epically screwed up last time around, Chris.
Yeah,
I
we
don't want to
really-
get you going on the last Ryder
Yeah,
Cup.
good job, Steve Stricker, Davis Love
Easy.
III. That was
All right.
perfect.
Easy. Rein him in.
Chris?
Jim Furyk.
Keegan.
Thanks.
Webb Simpson, Hunter
I
Mahan.
think you got to take Keegan because of how good he was last time.
Yeah, I think Keegan is a lock almost. Stricker.
You got to think they're
No,
going to
no.
You got to think they're going to take Tiger.
If they take Steve Stricker overseas for a golf tournament, I just don't know what I'll do with myself.
I actually don't hate our Ryder Cup team.
No, it's a good. Theirs is also really, really good.
Better-
really good.
Better than ours.
They're definitely the favorites, and they're at home.
Especially the way Sergio's been playing.
We got to go to their soil and get another victory. We've done it before.
And we'll do it again.
We're going to reclaim the cup?
Probably not.
Yikes. That's not what I was expecting. PGA this weekend. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, psyched.
Did you give a pick?
Yeah, Ricky
He
Fowler.
took Slick Rick.
I also think going back to Rory, it's interesting how this is the first time in a while I feel like it's a guy against the field is the real decision. You know, it's Rory or the field almost.
Yeah, if he wins 3 tournaments in a row, it's a big deal.
Right.
That would be his 4th major. I mean, it's a big deal what he's got going on.
Dad would be ecstatic. That's his favorite player.
Yeah, Dad really likes Rory.
You think Dad's shopping up
I
Rory
like
next door?
kind of like what Rory's doing in his personal life also.
Oh, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
How
What
much
has you
did
in
the
there?
breakup help?
I don't think. Well, it took a lot of pressure off, you know.
And now look
And
at him.
apparently, the girl he's dating is not unattractive by any stretch.
Not that
now.
we judge.
Not that we judge or at all.
We're not shallow guys.
None of us are shallow.
We're looking for good personality, good conversation.
Somebody who can chop it up.
You want to get to the new seggy?
New segment.
New segment. We're introducing here on In the Loop. John,
Shirts off for this one, boys.
our producer, Gorgeous John, is doing his new segment dance.
Yep. It's like a cross between the Carlton dance and being
How
electrocuted.
am I supposed to focus with that going on?
So what are we calling this thing?
One more thing.
One more thing.
One more thing.
Dad's standing at the door.
Our dad's out there.
You know what? Just because your cute little program is done
Are we getting him in here?
doesn't mean you can come distract us.
Is he getting in here?
No.
No, we don't.
We don't want him.
Keep
You know
going.
You know
Keep
what? Can I
going
say
with the new
something?
segment.
His show has been a disaster ever since Don LaGreca left.
Oh, wow. That is.
I'm just kidding.
I
love you.
actually.
All right. So one more thing. Who wants to lead off?
Chris, you're the oldest.
Oh, I can't decide which one should I do.
I have 2 also.
I only have one.
I'm gonna have Alex pick which one I should do. They're the last 2. It's the last 2.
Um.
I'm doing. All right. Yeah. I'm doing the second one.
All right. So it wasn't as up to me as you let on.
What do you
Do number
think?
2.
I like number 2 too.
Does anyone have it more figured out than Leonardo DiCaprio? Does anyone have it more figured out? Because it's like,
I don't even think you should explain.
do I need to explain that? I mean, have you seen the pictures lately? Like, it's just one stop to the next, killing it every time, playing with squirt guns in Italy, having a blast, going to Ibiza, killing it. It's
That
like,
wasn't just a squirt gun.
oh, he's having the, yeah, smoking a cig, playing with squirt guns on the beaches in Normandy. I mean,
Guy loves a super soaker, apparently.
just the joy on his face. And the other thing, Zach and I talked about this on the subway over here. Do celebrities just decide where to meet up, like, in the world for the weekend?
Like,
the way
we're
that
all
we talk about meeting up at, like, a bar?
Like, oh, we're going to Ibiza on the 3rd. So
Yeah, like,
everybody
what's
be
good
there.
this weekend? Oh, Ibiza?
Bring
Okay.
your yacht.
Ibiza does kind of seem like the place to be this summer.
No,
I'm
it's
surprised
just-
you haven't hit it, kind of, the way you've been hitting all the summer destinations.
I just can't get a look there. It's just, my stuff doesn't work in Ibiza like Billy Bean in the postseason.
See, unfortunately, that's east of Long Island, so that's like a little too far for me over there. But
Yeah, Zach would hate it.
Zach would hate it because the games aren't on at
The
the right time.
games aren't on at the right time.
yeah, I would have had to go on like a month ago when there wasn't much going on.
But it's just like texting, like, oh, Orlando Bloom, like, what's up this weekend? Oh, yachting, Ibiza. It's like, okay, I'll see you there Thursday night. Like,
Same thing.
Same table, right?
Yeah. It's like the equivalent of us meeting at Brother Jimmy's or something.
Yeah, like
Just going
J
to
Tree
Ibiza.
tonight, Thursday, BC, basement.
I wonder how much of it is for the selfie at this point. We
Leo
meet
doesn't
up.
care about the selfie.
No,
No.
Leo doesn't. But you see Kanye with Bieber. You know, Manziel
Yeah.
is in the mix.
Those guys don't have it figured
Do you
out.
think they
like
just
Leo.
take the pic and then be on their separate ways, or what do they talk about?
Nothing. I don't know. They don't talk about anything.
Like,
There's,
look at gorgeous Leonardo running around with the super soaker.
yeah, they're like, there's DiCaprio killing it. Like,
All right, that's a pretty good one more thing.
yeah.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
And this was something that was mentioned on the Lost episode.
Cool.
But I wanted to bring up again the Freddie Prinze Jr., Kiefer Sutherland beef that went on.
Thank God.
This was 20 minutes of the Lost episode.
Because I couldn't believe that such an international star such as Freddie Prinze Jr. would stoop down and badmouth Kiefer Sutherland, who, you know, has done what compared to him.
You really wouldn't expect to see someone of Freddie Prinze's caliber get down there in the muck with Kiefer like that.
We're talking about the star of Summer Catch, and she's all that.
I thought a lot more about this, actually, since the last episode. She's All That is terrific. I mean, it's
You
just
think?
so good.
Oh,
know?
you think?
Captain of the soccer team, Zach Seiler. Like,
Is that
Paul
your-
Walker's in it as his... Rest
What?
in peace, Paul. But,
Gorgeous Paul.
yeah.
We love you, Paul.
And then, I'm trying to figure out who else is in it. I think Usher's in it.
Usher is in it.
Yeah, Usher's in it.
I mean, it's perfect.
Matthew Lillard, his go-to
Stop.
co-star.
Can you stop? I could
Like,
go another
The
hour.
guy who played Charlie in the West Wing.
Huh?
The guy who played
Yeah,
Charlie in the West Wing.
yeah.
He has the parties.
Yeah. But Lillard was like in everything with him. Summer Catch, Scooby-Doo, She's All That. I'd like to hang out with those two.
One of the great acting
They would never
partnerships
hang
of all
with you.
time.
They're probably in Ibiza right now.
That's
with
the
DiCaprio.
Affleck and Damon of the 90s.
Yes.
Before Affleck and Damon.
So, Zach, you're saying Freddie Prinze had a better career?
So I don't
Than
even
Kiefer
think, I don't
Sutherland.
even think it's close. You what? You disagree?
It's hard to disagree.
Because of what? 9 seasons of 24.
Summer Catch is also ridiculously good.
Ryan Dunn.
Ryan Dunn, lefty. Chatham Hayes.
Perfect game.
Keep going.
Jessica Biel.
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah,
one,
Lillard. Billy Brubaker as his catcher.
one more note before Alex goes that I think we just did a whole podcast without mentioning LeBron James, which was
Well, until now.
Until now.
Skinny
my boy.
LeBron.
Shout out LeBron.
How pumped are you about number 23?
Woo! I'm fired up.
What's yours, man?
Mine's a little more somber, but I thought
Oh.
I'd give it a shout. Reminded this week that social media isn't all bad. It's mostly bad. Birthday collages, TBTs,
Anything Nick Pinto
Promoting.
writes.
promoting your fashion blog, anything Nick Pino. But really cool thing, Ice Bucket Challenge, supporting a BC alum and legend, Pete Frates, who is battling ALS. Just a really cool thing going around social media. People pouring ice buckets on their head, nominating friends to do the same or donate to the cause. So
You poured a bucket on your head.
I poured a bucket on my head. You chose to donate,
Yeah, I donated instead.
which I thought was very cool as well.
Thanks, man.
Definitely a more substantial offering than an ice bucket on your head.
Yep.
But still very cool. My news feed's been blowing up. Chris, you don't have Facebook anymore, but
Nope, I've been locked out on purpose.
you want to get into that another time?
No.
No,
Never,
I don't.
never,
Not
never.
unless you want to see a grown man cry.
Lock that deep down, Chris, with
All
all
right.
those other thoughts. Bottle it down.
All right.
So PeteFrates.com, FRATES,
Really great cause.
to donate. Awesome cause.
Go Eagles.
Go Eags. Great Eagle. Eagle community rallying around him. So, should we shut it down?
Yeah, let's shut it down. Hopefully this one doesn't get lost.
Golden Swag, take us out.